I'm joined by Callum Chambers, a beekeeper at the Traveling Bee Company. Thank you so much for joining me, Callum.
Hiya, thanks for having us.
Oh, my pleasure. And so I was amazed to learn that you and the Traveling Bee Company introduced almost 5 million additional bees into the environment. When was that? Was that back in 2019 or is that earlier?
No, that would have been earlier, I think so. So basically, my father, Mark, he started the company,
Mm-hmm.
so he's been a beekeeper for many years, and I obviously grew up with him, and as a young guy or a young person growing up with a father who does something for a living, you pick up bits and pieces here and there, and
Yeah, of
so
course.
so obviously I had an idea of what it took to be a beekeeper and such. But so in his first, I think it was his first couple of years, anyways, he had introduced 5 million bees to the world. So so it's about 50,000 bees to a colony.
Wow.
Thereabouts, like give or take.
Yeah.
And so he in his first couple of years, he had about 100 hives, which isn't a lot, to be honest, for a full-time beekeeper.
Really? Seems like a lot to
Yeah,
me.
yeah, definitely, yeah. But I mean, some people have like thousands in some
Really?
parts of the world. Yeah, definitely. But so obviously 100 beehives with,
Yeah.
assuming they've got 50,000 bees, and that's obviously 5 million. So I mean, there'll be more now because we've got more hives now.
Yeah.
So so that was his first, that was one of his first year or two rolling out straight away 5 million.
Amazing.
So that quite
So
quite a thing. Yeah.
I mean, because on your website, it seems like you're very proud of the fact that you're introducing all these new bees. Why is it so important to
Yeah.
introduce new bees?
Well, the thing is that bees are really important to the ecosystem. It's a very
Hmm.
fragile thing, and obviously humans, among other things, have been disrupting that. So it's really important to get them back out there, being the super pollinators that they are. We
Yeah.
will rely on them heavily, not just us though, but obviously the whole ecosystem. Like I say, it's very fragile. Other insects, other plants and animals rely on pollination
Yeah.
to occur. And obviously, like I say, bees are the main powerhouse of pollination in the world, really. So yeah.
I remember reading somewhere that like bees, because they're such a powerhouse of pollination, they're basically like they're a free resource. You don't have to, I mean, it's a little bit different if you're a beekeeper and people,
Yeah.
farms hire you, but if there's
Yeah.
enough bees in the environment around your farm, they're free. I mean, you just grow
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
you grow your crops and bees just come around and pollinate everything for you.
And pollinate for you. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Like a real workforce, a
Yeah,
free
exactly.
workforce. Yeah, definitely.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
I saw somewhere, I can't remember if it was in China or somewhere, that they're trying to find ways because bees are, um, well, we're hearing all this news about bees, declining in population, that
Yeah.
they're trying to basically find ways to pollinate. And I heard somewhere like you see people basically with these like little fake little bee things that you twirl around in a flower, and then you go from one flower to another, like manually with a little stick
Right. All right.
pollinating
Yeah.
because there aren't enough bees.
Yeah. It's
That
quite a sad
just,
thing to hear, that, isn't it?
yeah, and it's so
It's quite
expensive
sad.
and
It's
takes
just,
so much time
is it? Yeah, expensive.
because you
Yeah,
have
I
to
can
hire
imagine that.
people.
To go around and do this to each flower. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. I think it's like a sign of the times, really, isn't it? That it's come to that. That we're having to do these silly things, really.
yeah,
When nature was once just doing it off its own back.
yeah.
So yeah, I don't know what to make of that. Maybe I'm being pessimistic. But yeah, it's obviously yeah, strange that.
Yeah, but I mean, speaking of pessimism, I think actually we can be quite optimistic because there's you, there's your dad, and you
Oh,
have
definitely. Yeah,
the
yeah.
traveling bee company. So first of
Mm.
all, why is it called the traveling bee company? Where are these bees traveling?
Yeah, so basically the bees, we the whole our whole ethos, I guess,
Yeah.
is we move the bees to the best source of food for them, but
Mm,
also that'll yield the best honey. So, but we're
okay.
always trying to make it a mixture of both. We care about bees, obviously, and we want them to have like comfortable like living standards, really, like
Yeah.
just like any, when it comes to, I hate the term bee farming when it applies to us, because I don't think we really see ourselves as bee farmers. So we, you know, we don't always just take from the bees. We try to somewhat live in harmony with them,
Yeah.
as dramatic as that sounds, you know. So we try to move them to places where they can get good sources of food, and and obviously we try to we move with them as well. So um and also the whole traveling bee company side of things, the whole traveling thing is we actually try to bring honey from other parts of the world, really, to our doorstep, and supply that to the public, which obviously comes into the whole guest honey side of things that we do as well.
Yeah, I love that guest honey. It reminds me of like when you go to a pub and they have guest loggers just for like
Yeah, yeah,
a month
definitely.
or two.
That's the whole thing. Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, I used to work in. I spent a lot of time working in bars
Okay.
before I got into beekeeping, like managing bars and working in bars and stuff. So that whole guest thing, I think it sounded quite cool. It wasn't my idea. It was me dad, and yeah, yeah. It's a pretty cool twist on things. Yeah.
Where do you find the guest honeys? I mean, how do you get in touch with, or yeah,
Yeah.
where do you find them?
So, like, friends, basically friends on the. A lot of the honey comes from Europe, the continent.
Okay.
Um, so we basically, we've got some like friends out there, like other bee farmers, like a community, obviously. And we just try and find things that interest us,
Yeah.
honeys that interest us, and things that you can't quite guess, like native to the UK. So, for example, we've got things like buckwheat and stuff.
Okay.
Um, so like obviously you can't get buckwheat naturally in Britain. Um,
Right.
so obviously we try and source that from another part of the world where you can get it, and obviously, so that's something a little bit different for people to get their hands on, and you know, and try. um I know obviously in America buckwheat's a big thing, and
Yeah, I think so.
quite
Yeah.
quite a common honey, I believe.
I think you're
um
right. Yeah.
but in Britain it's not so common, you know. It's a very distinctive taste, and a very distinctive aroma in
Yeah.
buckwheat. That's just an example of we'll do a whole range of guest honeys, but buckwheat's the newest one that we've got at the minute, and
Oh, cool.
so that's what I'd use that as an example. And obviously it's quite it is quite a unique honey. So
Yeah.
so yeah, so it's just people that it's just friends that we know, people like from sources that we trust,
Mhm.
from other ethical bee farmers, beekeepers, and so yeah, so we always try and keep it very diverse with the honeys.
That's really cool. I think that's important just so that people can try different things and
Oh,
um,
totally, yeah,
yeah,
diversity, yeah.
yeah, exactly. It's a lot of fun. You said the word ethical. What does that mean when it comes to beekeeping?
Yeah, so ethical. That's a big part of our ethos again.
Yeah.
Our whole like game plan is um to we try to keep it as well. We do keep it as ethical as possible. So for example, like we a good example actually is, so for example, in the winter,
Hmm.
we'll always when we're harvesting honey, when we're taking honey from the bees, we'll always leave them a bit of honey for themselves, because bees obviously naturally use honey as stores in the winter to keep them going.
Yeah.
But a lot of bee farmers will always take every bit of honey they've got, every last scrap, and they'll feed them with things like sugar syrup and these artificial honeys, I guess, like
Yeah, like
artificial feeds.
a replacement for it.
Yeah, and
Wow.
bees obviously they'll use it, but they don't really they don't really appreciate it as much.
Yeah.
There's studies on that and stuff, and whatnot.
Yeah, it seems like
So
you're taking away the natural goodness that they've made for
yeah,
themselves that they're designed to eat and replacing it with something
yeah,
unnatural.
100%. It's not. No, you're right. Yeah, it's not. It's just not natural. It's just not
Yeah.
natural. Bees didn't evolve on sugar syrup, you know.
Yeah.
So you know, like we're talking like millions of years and stuff
Yeah.
of evolution. Bees just didn't. You know, it's like. Well, I mean, only the past like I don't know how long we've been feeding sugar syrup. Probably longer than we think, really. But it's just not natural. They just don't react to it as well. So,
Yeah.
and it's always nice to just, you know, they worked for it. They created it. So why can't they keep it? We only take what they can afford to lose, you know. So
How much is that roughly?
it really does just depend from hive to hive,
Oh,
from
really?
colony to colony. Yeah. So some colonies are bigger than others. Some might yield more honey than others.
Huh.
So it's quite hard to say. So, but you can usually tell just from when you open the hive and you look and you see how many bees are in there, the
Yeah.
size of the colony. You can usually just tell how many frames they would need to keep them going through the winter or
Wow.
whatever.
So it's very much an art. You just kind of learn that if
Yeah,
there's
it's
this many bees and you sort of have to just eyeball it, sounds like.
so a lot of beekeeping is just trial and error. You know,
Oh
you
man.
learn. Yeah, it is. It's quite some things are this is how it's done,
Yeah.
but a lot of things are just eyeballing it. Like you say, it really is. Yeah. So like yeah, there's tons of examples of eyeballing it really.
Wow, that's amazing. I mean, so it really is an art in that case, it sounds like. I mean, you're
Completely.
yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, even like with painting, I suppose I don't paint, but I guess with
Mm.
music, I used to play the drums. There are certain things where this is just how it's done. And then from there,
Yeah.
those are the foundations, and then you build on top of that with the art
Yeah.
itself, I suppose.
Yeah. Definitely. Well, it's funny you're talking about music. I'm a musician as well, and
Oh, cool.
my uncle is a really good bass player. And years
Nice.
ago, he was teaching me to play guitar. And the first thing he said to me was, "These are scales, and this is how you know these are chords and stuff." And I was like, "All right, okay." And he was teaching us all these scales, and I wasn't interested in scales. No one's really
Yeah,
interested
of
in
course. You just
scales,
want to
are they?
rock
So
out.
you just want to rock out. So and of course, but then and I was thinking, this is pretty boring, you know. And then he turned around and he went, but those rules are there to be broken. And I kind of took that and
Yeah.
I applied it to a lot of things in life, probably more than I should have, to be honest. But that's what he said. Those rules are there to be broken, you know. And that's the truth. I think that's and I apply that to a lot of things in life. Like I
Yeah.
say, probably some things I shouldn't, but and but beekeeping's one of them things, you know. I think you can apply to that within reason, of course.
Yeah.
You know.
That's cool. So going back to the traveling part, because I think that's
Yeah.
kind of sort of unique because I guess when I think of a beehive, I mean, at least naturally, I think maybe it's stuck in a tree and like the bees build it in a tree or maybe somewhere in the ground. I'm actually not too familiar with where bees typically build their hives, but to me, it seems like a very fixed location. Like it's not every summer, they're not going to like take their hive and go somewhere else and then come back for the winter. So
Mm,
how does the traveling part work? Because you said you take them to places where there's going to be a lot of flowers and it's going to be good for the bees
yeah.
to collect nectar. How does that traveling part work? I mean, do you see what I'm saying? Like, how do you pick and why do you actually move with them? Why not just say, right, this is where we are. We're going to take.
Yeah. So basically, it's good for the bees. It's good for
Okay.
the bees because if you move when you keep moving them, it's like they have different sources of food that they can, again, diversity
Yeah.
they can take from, you know. So there's different flora in different areas that
Uh,
the they might have never tried in their like colony's lifespan, and they'll try that, and then obviously go and but if they stayed in one place the whole time, their immune system, their ability to adapt, they wouldn't have the ability to adapt and
Yeah.
such. So yeah, it's definitely it's definitely good to keep moving them. It's like it's like if you ate, if as a human, if you ate the same meal every day of your life, you
Yeah.
know, you just wouldn't, your body wouldn't evolve and learn how to deal with your immune system wouldn't learn how to deal with certain things that come your
Yeah.
way, you know. So if you ate like fish and chips every day, you know,
You might be happy, but yeah.
yeah, if you've got a very boring palate, yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, no, that's it basically. So it's good for them. It's good for us because obviously that in turn they produce different honey depending on what they're collecting in
Mhm.
terms of like nectar and pollen and stuff. So yeah, it's good. It's good for everyone really. So
Yeah, that's
it's
cool.
good.
And do you ever get hired, I guess, by like farmers? So let's say a corn farmer or
Yeah,
something like that, in order to pollinate their
pollination contracts as they call them. Yeah, so like
pollination contracts. Wow,
yeah, so
that's
that's
cool. Never heard of that.
yeah. It's a bit of a yeah. I mean, we personally don't go in for that.
Oh, okay.
But that is a side of beekeeping that is out there. People do that. It's very big in America.
Yeah.
Pollination contracts. It's a big thing. It is in this. It is all over the world really. But I know in this region, it's not really a massive thing. I mean, I probably could be wrong there. There's probably more in recent years it is, but we don't really go in for that. We come to an understanding with the farmers and stuff. If we've got it on farmers' land, we don't always have our bees on farmers' lands. We've got them in a whole range of places. But if we put them on farmers' lands, we'll obviously ask for permission, and they're just happy to have a load of bees there, and we're happy with the honey that we yield from it, and they're happy with their crops being pollinated. It's kind
Yeah.
of an understanding rather than us just being straight up paid for it, you know.
Got it.
So, but obviously we've got things like we've got bees everywhere. We don't just have bees in farmers' fields. We've got them in city centres and stuff.
Really?
We've got them, yeah. We've got them in like skate parks, like a lot of urban bees, because there's a lot of urban wildflowers.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, we've got them all over. Obviously, we've got them in Scotland for the heather, on the west coast of Scotland.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've got them
So,
all over.
and do you move those ones as well?
Yeah, definitely. We'll move them, like I say, just depending on as and when it's needed, really. Yeah.
Wow. So even the ones that are in the city center or like in in skate parks.
Yes, well, the ones in skate parks, we've had them in the same place for a while now because they just love it there. They really love it there. But we do
How do you know they love it there? I mean, obviously they.
just yeah. So just because they basically because of the way they react and the thriving,
Yeah.
you can see that they're thriving, and you can see them you know, like collecting and stuff, and they literally are just buzzing to be there. So they're always like, yeah, they're really strong hives, really strong colonies there.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So yeah, so and obviously when it comes to taking the heather, sorry, the honey, you can see that they've just totally killed it. Yeah,
They're just
yeah,
full of honey.
full of honey. Yeah.
Speaking of buzzing and being happy, I've actually spoken with another beekeeper. She's an urban beekeeper here in London,
All right, cool. Yeah.
and she basically only focuses on putting beehives in different locations around London.
Mm.
And she was explaining that bees have a happy dance, basically.
Yeah,
Uh,
Yeah.
And like if it's a good day and like and they're just doing really well with the honey production, they're gonna like do this little special wiggle where they're like, oh yeah, it's a good day.
Yeah, it's yeah, the strange bees, man. Seriously, they're like they're really there's a lot of mystery that in them that we still don't completely understand. I think that's why people are so amazed by bees. You know,
Yeah.
so when you go like when people go, oh, what do you do for a living? And you go, oh, I'm a beekeeper. You'll get a lot of people go, all right, okay, because there is a lot of mystery in it. You know, bees know more than we'll ever find out about them. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So I think we'll never know everything about them. So there is a lot of mystery in them. So when people say all these things, you know, like, oh, they've got these like happy dances and stuff, and we're learning all these new things. And
Yeah.
the amount of times science is trying to like look into these things, and they just don't find answers. They
Hmm.
can't. They don't have like conclusive answers, and because of it, we'll never know. There's a lot there, and it is they are very mysterious insects. You
Yeah,
know.
I mean, they're amazing. Like you
Yeah,
said, 50,000 little insects live
yeah.
together and
We're
work.
working in harmony. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's absolutely amazing.
Mm.
Um, so and so what? So you get the honey from these bees,
Yeah,
and then you were saying that you sell it.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So what exactly do you sell? Because actually, I was taking a look on your website, and there's more than just honey here.
Yeah, we've got a load of stuff really, and we're basically we've got all of our honeys, or excuse me, we've got a whole range of honeys. So honey that comes from us, from our bees. We've got the whole guest range of honeys,
Yeah.
which is obviously like we were saying before from friends of ours. And then we've got things like food supplements. So we've got
Hmm.
like we'll sell pollen. That's a food supplement added into your diet. It's an immune system booster. Same with propolis. We've got like propolis tinctures. Propolis
Yeah.
is a real personal favorite of mine. I use propolis every day.
What is
It,
propolis?
so propolis is like it's like a bees create propolis. So it's something like it's like tree resin. It's like a mixture of things. So it's
Yeah.
like tree resin, bee saliva. It's got pollen in it. It's got like a bit of honey in it and stuff. And it's like this kind of sticky brown substance, really.
Yeah.
And if you've ever been into a beehive, or if anyone goes into a beehive, you'll always come across propolis. Bees use it, create it to seal holes in the hive, so that obviously like threats can't get into the hive.
Oh, I
So
see.
so like I say, it's very sticky. So if you ever open a hive, or you watch a video of someone opening a hive, you'll hear that cracking sound when they're using the hive tool. You know, the tool to open the hive.
Okay.
And it's like that. That's propolis like breaking away.
Wow.
Uh,
So it's really hard.
yeah, it is. It is quite hard. Yeah, it's quite. Obviously with the temperature and stuff, it can be sticky or hard or soft. It's kind
Oh,
of
I
like
see.
it's almost like kind of waxy and stuff. So yeah, but anyways, but it yields a lot of like I say, it's an immune system booster. It's naturally an antibacterial.
Hmm.
It's been used for thousands of years by humans, propolis for things like in medicine and stuff. It actually comes from the Greek of propolis. The word itself is derives from the Greek for defender of the city.
Oh,
Um,
cool. Wow, that's a cool
Obviously,
name.
like yeah, it's quite it's quite dramatic, but it's cool. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I use it all the time, but we do a tincture version, anyways, and I put it in my water, and it just yeah, it just it can combat the common cold
Oh,
and all
wow.
sorts of stuff, and it's really good on cuts and stuff as well.
Huh.
It saved me a trip to the A&E a couple of months ago. So
Really?
yeah, yeah. My own stupid fault. I was using a knife and I sliced my fingertip
Oh,
pretty
oh
deep.
God.
I've got a
Oh
pretty
man.
bad scar. Anyway, so I won't go into that. But I sliced it open and it just wouldn't stop bleeding. And I was like,
Yeah.
no, what am I, you know? So and I put some propolis on it and instantly just sealed it, stopped the bleeding. Probably should have still went to A&E to get some stitches, but I didn't. So everything's fine now, but yeah, my partner wasn't impressed with the blood, and yeah, it was yeah, it was yeah,
But propolis saved the day.
probably saved the day. Yeah,
So you just drink it every morning?
yeah. So it's like you put it. I just put a few drops in water every day. I carry my water bottle with us everywhere, and I put the propolis in, and I just as I go. Yeah.
Oh
Put
wow,
as much in as you like. Yeah.
that's amazing. And does it have a flavor to it? Well, yours has a mint flavor to it.
Yeah. So that's got like a natural mint extract in it.
Yeah.
But propolis on its own has a very unique taste in tincture form. But it's hard to explain. I can't really explain what it
Okay.
tastes like. Yeah.
So it doesn't taste like regular honey.
No, it's not. I wouldn't say it's sweet at all. It's but once you've tasted propolis, you would and you would know. You'd be like, that's propolis, straight
Okay.
away. Yeah.
It's really distinct.
But yeah.
What about the you were mentioning pollen? Because actually, yeah, I'm taking a look on your website right now. There's the bee pollen, and it doesn't look like what I would picture pollen from a flower to look like. It's not really like dust.
Yeah. So basically, bees like compact it into they carry it they'll compact it and put it in the pollen baskets, and then obviously on the hind legs, bees have pollen baskets,
Yeah.
and that's where they carry the little grains of pollen,
Okay.
and they take it back to the hive. But
Yeah.
so they kind of do that, make it look like
So this is the pollen that you're selling is actually it's like compacted version of it. It's what they collect.
Yeah, it's literally what you're looking at there is literally it hasn't been made to look like that or anything. That is bees were carrying those grains of pollen.
Wow. And where do you collect it from?
So that's a part of the guest range, the pollen. We don't collect it because
Okay.
it depends on your climate and stuff. So we get it from a friend in Spain, because in Spain bees tend to collect much more pollen than we can get in the UK. It's
really?
it's really hard to get British pollen because there's a lot that goes into that. So things like our bees just don't collect as. I mean, if you were to get British pollen, it would be super expensive, because obviously they don't collect as much, and obviously the time it would take, and yeah. So but in countries like Spain, like northern Spain, where ours is from, the bees just collect pollen, tons and tons of pollen. But it's a very, again, it's an ethical way of collecting pollen as well. There's the bees get the pollen that they need. We're not just taking all of their pollen.
Stealing it.
Yeah.
I think it's important to know. And one thing I'm noticing, I'd like to actually share my screen here for.
Yeah, definitely.
So we can take a look at it together. Is well, here's the pollen, and you can see that it's in a glass jar with it's like these little kernels almost in there.
Yeah.
But the other thing I'm noticing, just like as I'm going through this, is all of these honeys have a completely different color. I mean, the Spanish heather honey is almost black.
Yeah.
The lavender honey is like a relatively light golden color. There's another one which is Phacelia honey, which is like really almost white.
Really
clear.
Yeah.
Almond blossom is almost greenish. So I mean, where do these colors come from? Why are they all different?
So that's quite a complex thing to really pin, to be honest. But basically the bottom and top of it is the nectar itself.
Right.
The nectar itself. Every flower has obviously its own unique nectar. So it tends to just come from that, basically. And obviously the variation of nutrients in that nectar can also affect the color. There's a few things.
Wow.
But so, for example, like this is our buckwheat, black like the heather honey.
Yeah. Wow. Look at that. It's completely.
So then, it's really dark. And then these are from our bees. That's all wildflower honey.
Yeah.
So that's like the kind of thing we're talking about. So
one's black, the other one's looks like regular golden honey.
Just that, that's kind of that's like our bread and butter honey. You know, that's like the main one.
So
Of all,
obviously the taste differs as well.
completely, yeah.
I've had honey which is like some honey is really, really sweet. I mean, all
Yeah,
honey kind of has a similar, quote unquote, honey flavor to it.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
you
definitely,
know that it's honey. It's just kind of
yeah,
different, I
yeah,
guess, flavors of honey. Um, but some honey is really sweet, and other honey
yeah,
is like surprisingly not very sweet. I mean, it's still sweet, but it's not like,
yeah. It's not in your face, like
yeah.
overpowering. Yeah,
It does that come just again because of the types of flowers?
yeah, definitely, 100%. It just every honey will depend on the flower it's come from, the time of the flowering it's come from. You
Okay.
know how far along the flower has been flowering and stuff. It all, yeah, totally. Everything makes a
Wow.
massive change. Like, so sometimes, like, so for example, all wildflower honey one year could taste different to the next year, even though it's coming from maybe even some of the same flowers, just because of things like what what happened, how the weather is that year,
Yeah.
or the amount of sun that's been on the flower for that year, or yeah, totally. There's so many factors that go
Wow.
into it. So sometimes when I taste honey, and I think that's a really good like harvest this year. That's a really good, and then the next year I might be like, oh, I kind of, it's still nice, but I actually like last year's,
Yeah.
a bit more. Or sometimes the next year I'll be like, wow, I'm actually really liking this one, So
Yeah.
it does totally differ. Obviously, some honeys like buckwheat will always um be tasting like buckwheat because that's a specific source that they've been foraging from. Buckwheat honey will always taste like buckwheat honey.
Yeah.
Obviously, you'll get obviously different buckwheat in one part of the country might um, taste slightly different to another part of the country because of things like, like I was on about, like the climate and stuff.
Yeah. 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 Makes
But
sense.
but you would be able to tell that that's buckwheat honey, or but with things like wildflower honey where they're taken from many different sources and stuff, not just one specific source.
Yeah.
It's yeah, yeah, totally tastes completely different, and that's part of the excitement, really.
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
incredible. How many times per year do you harvest, or as in like take the honey?
yeah. That depends again on on what your on what the bees are getting,
Hmm.
what they're actually foraging from. So that's quite a broad thing
Okay.
again. But sometimes it's once, sometimes it will be twice, or and again as well, if you sometimes it's best to just leave the bees to just crack on with what they're doing, and not keep taking honey from them, and because it can get like a bit um it can sometimes stress them if you do it too
Yeah.
much and stuff, and there's a lot of factors that go into that. But I think once you get, it sounds a bit silly, but once you get to know your bees and stuff and how it's like your dog, like you get to know how your dog likes
Yeah.
things
Yeah.
and stuff, but you might get to know how your certain apiary likes things, and it's but so they all differ, and it depends and stuff. But
Wow.
yeah, but typically you typically you'll only try and take from them, not too many times, because
Makes sense. The
yeah.
is there a difference in terms of flavor if you're taking it earlier in the season versus later in the season?
Yeah, yeah, I think
But
it
not
could.
to this. Okay.
Yeah, I think it definitely could. Yeah, yeah, definitely. Like I say, it just depends how long. So, for example, like a flower might have been flowering for a few weeks,
Yeah.
and then the bees have been taken from that, and then you're taking the honey from that. That'll taste different as it would have been if that flower had been flowering for months,
Yeah.
and then you've took from it because it's had more time to flower and blossom, and it's yeah,
Yeah.
I
Makes
definitely, yeah.
Makes sense. I think it's amazing. I love what you were saying about how depending on the year the honey tastes different. It kind of reminds me of like wines and vintages.
Absolutely, absolutely, yeah.
Just because each year is a very specific year, and some years are known to be amazing years. Like
Yeah, like the yeah.
those are the vintage that you
Yeah,
that are
definitely,
really
yeah.
valuable.
Oh, totally, yeah.
That's
Yeah,
super cool. And
yeah.
aside from beekeeping, as we start to wrap up here, is there what do you do like on a day-to-day basis, maybe in your personal life, to be environmentally friendly? Because you're doing so much already to help with the environment and to be, you know,
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, definitely. So I mean, like I grew up in a family, obviously, with my dad and my mom. They're very environmentally conscious people. So obviously in turn that had an effect on me.
yeah,
So things like just the little everyday things. So like obviously like plastic consumption. You know, I try not to drive everywhere if I can get away with it. You know,
yeah,
um, like energy at home. You know, I'm always annoying my partner again. So turning things off all the time. Like you've got to turn that kettle off. You can't just leave that. So
yeah,
yeah, things like that. Always turning things off and that. Obviously, recycling's a big thing that everyone should be doing
yeah,
anyways. But unfortunately, not everyone does. But just all the little things really. I'm I don't eat meat as well. You know, that's more for the ethical side of things,
yeah,
really. But I guess obviously in turn that has an effect on the environment, of course. Um, so yeah, I just try to do all the little things, and I think if everyone did all the little things, obviously it would have a big impact. And I think people are getting more aware of how to do that. A lot of that's just a lack of education as well, you know.
hmm
I think as well. So, but I think I think people are getting better with that. I notice like friends and family getting better with
yeah.
that kind of thing. So yeah, it's definitely it's good. Yeah.
That's awesome. I think you're absolutely right. It's it is doing a little bit. I don't think, and a lot of people I speak to, it's this, they all say the same thing, which is basically like you don't need to be perfect,
No, no,
because if you
yeah,
end up being perfect, then it's kind of frightening almost. It's like, well, I'm doing this not perfectly, and then like, and then
yeah,
you're just thinking, well, maybe I just shouldn't bother at all because I can't be
yeah,
perfect.
yeah. Definitely, it's you've got to kind of y- if you've just got to like try, you know, like
Yeah,
you got to just try and if you not everyone can be perfect. No one everyone has a carbon footprint and
yeah,
everything, you know, and all those things, but you can't escape it. But you can try to reduce it. You know,
hmm
everyone should actively be trying to reduce the environmentally damaging things that they do. You know what I mean?
absolutely.
Obviously, I think that goes without saying. You know, so
Yeah.
yeah.
Awesome. And where can we learn more about the work you're doing and maybe purchase some of the bees? I know actually we didn't talk about this, but you also sell hives as
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
right?
We sell bees basically. We don't sell the hives as in like the actual like wooden hives,
Box. Yeah,
but
yeah.
the box. Yeah, yeah. So, but we sell like bees, bee bundles. So it's more for that's more for like hobbyist beekeepers and stuff.
hmm
People who are trying to get into beekeeping. That's a big thing that we promote as well. It's worth
Yeah.
like we're trying to get people into beekeeping. Um, we do a lot of talks at schools and stuff. You know, in a local beekeeper meetings like where people from the region get together and talk and stuff, and we'll try and educate people
That's awesome.
on how to and obviously we'll go to schools and stuff occasionally, and we'll talk to children about
Yeah.
the importance of bees and why bees aren't scary and the difference between bees and wasps and how wasps aren't scary really, and how they are very important to the ecosystem. But I mean, a lot of beekeepers will probably listen to this thing, you know, wasps, no. So, so, but they are. Everything plays a part, obviously.
Yeah,
So,
they're there for a reason.
absolutely, very important. Yeah. So, but yeah, we sell those bees to a lot of hobbyists and stuff. Like hobbyist beekeepers. Um, and so that they can get going and learn how to, and we'll support them after the buy as well. So if they need help with, if they've got a problem, they can call us or email us, and we'll help them, flourish with the bees and
Wow.
help them get going. Because if everyone, I see a lot of hobbyist beekeepers, a lot of people are wanting bees now. They're wanting to have bees in the back garden that they can have on the flowers and stuff, and almost like a pet again, like
Yeah.
almost if you want to call it that. So it's quite a nice thing, yeah. Because obviously there is a decline in beekeepers, and there is a decline in bees, obviously. So but if hobbyists are getting on board and stuff, people are wanting, the average Joe on the street is wanting a bee hive in the back garden. So yeah, of course it all adds up, definitely.
Yeah, that's
It's really
amazing.
good. Yeah.
So where can people go if they want? I mean, if they want to buy some of the honey, or if they are interested in starting their own beehive, where can they find you?
So, you can obviously go on our website, travelingbeecompany.com. Obviously, you can go on Facebook, Instagram. Online, obviously, you can buy honey and bees. If obviously physical markets as well, we do a lot of the farmer markets, and we do a lot of the big food markets in the north of Britain.
Cool.
And obviously we're stock certain outlets in our area and in the north of Britain. But online's the real one, obviously. At this day and age, online, you can just go on our website and stuff, not on the highstreet.com and all these places. Yeah. So we're actually quite out there, really.
Yeah.
And obviously Facebook and Instagram, Traveling Bee Company. You can reach us on there if you wanted to ask any questions or just keep up to date with what we're up to. We'll try and post about not just the products themselves, but things like just what we're doing on that day. We'll just try to bring people along for the ride, really.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Especially since it's like you were saying, it's kind of a mysterious thing that you're doing. So it's
absolutely
great to be able to see into the world.
Yeah, we'll try to do things like just show people what we're doing on a day-to-day basis and how that varies on depending on the day itself. If it's raining one day, like we could say, right, we're going to go and do this with the bees tomorrow. But then if it's raining, we can't do that with the bees, so we'll have to go and then do something else. So it's a busy lifestyle, but it's not a job. It is just a lifestyle.
That's amazing.
A lifestyle, yeah.
That's awesome. Cool. So yeah, travelingbeecompany.com is where we can go to get some of those bees. And Callum, thank you so much for your time. I think this was a lot of fun, really interesting stuff.
Yeah. Thanks for having us on. Yeah.
My pleasure. Thank you very much for listening to this episode. If you enjoyed it, give us a 5-star rating. And also, please subscribe, whether on your podcast app or on YouTube. And that way you can be the first to know about new episodes. Thank you very much, and talk to you soon.